to another episode of the Little Radio Show. My name is Sandra Fernandez, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Juan Alanis and Anjelica Cazares, and we're bringing you small talk about big topics. This week we have a wonderful conversation with two Tejana bloggers who are visiting from San Antonio, Marissa Rodriguez and Marissa Rodriguez, no relation. Let me tell you, you're gonna love them as much as I do by the time we're finished. And as just a reminder, we will post links to their blogs and other social networks in the show notes. You can catch us every week on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Central Time on hmsnetradio.org. Our show archives and the link to our iTunes and Stitcher channels are available on thelittlradioshow.com.
We have special guests in the studio with us today, and we are so thrilled. They're from San Antonio. There are a few very well-known bloggers actually in San Antonio, and we're just lucky to have them here in Houston. And I want to introduce them. Well, actually, I want to give them an opportunity to introduce themselves. So they're going to go ahead and introduce themselves by their name and then kind of sort of what they do in their blog, because it's kind of amazing. So go ahead, ladies.
My name is Marissa Rodriguez, and my blog is Family Love in My City, and it is kind of just a hyper-local family San Antonio Hispanic lifestyle blog.
And my name is Marissa Rodriguez. We're not sisters. We're really good friends. And I'm also living in the San Antonio area, and my blog is called Modern Tejana. And it's a blog about Tex-Mex lifestyle, Tejana lifestyle. So naturally, that's a lot of food, culture, music, and a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, really quick, ladies, I want to ask you, what would you say is doable in San Antonio? Like the thing that two must do if you visit San Antonio? I know it's a lot of everything.
Look on their faces. If you have
it's like, all right, Angelica, well, how much time do you have?
Well, it's expanded so much, so there's so much to do besides the river walk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the go-to.
Yeah, my go-to is always, it's a part of the river walk, but it's either south, which is a mission reach, or north, which is the museum reach. And so both are really thriving neighborhoods, coffee shops, little cafes, bakeries. But they're all connected to the river, and it's all walkable. So, you go park, go to that neighborhood, grab some coffee, eat at a restaurant, take a stroll down the natural river that's redone. And it's beautiful. So it's not downtown Riverwalk. If you go south, there's the Mission Reach.
It's not all the crazies partying.
No, it's not all the crazy. It's local. It's new. It's hip. But it's also very family friendly. Okay. And just something where you're also even connected to nature. So it's really cool.
And it's not far from downtown San Antonio.
Not at all.
No,
you could even take a trolley, or you could even take a river taxi.
Oh, a river taxi.
Yeah. So I would just explore north or south of downtown.
That's a really good idea. When people come to visit, and they come to visit me, I take them to the Pearl, which is the new sort of, it's a mixed-use area just north of the downtown area that's also connected to the Riverwalk, and you can take a water taxi to it also. And it has all these wonderful little local shops. They even have a farmer's market on the weekend. There's lots of mixed-use buildings, so you'll have a boutique on the bottom floor full of very quintessentially San Antonio stores, and up above you have these new, beautiful high-end condos. So it's a very, it's also a family-friendly place to go. But if you wanted to not take the kids, you could definitely have grown-up kids.
It's definitely mixed.
They have a very good Mexican restaurant there at the Pearl that I went to once.
La Gloria?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It was
La Gloria.
good.
Didn't you say they sat you around?
Yeah,
it was
we were
still
sitting, out in the, it was
dirt?
It wasn't a floor, it was like a dirt floor.
Mm-hmm.
It packed dirt.
I was like, this is like Mexico. I'm sitting
There's a lot of those kinds of restaurant floors in San Antonio. So.
Is there? Yeah. So it's just packed dirt?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a very, San Antonio, part of it is that it's a very casual city. Yeah. So you go to places like the Luxury, or which is also
outdoor.
And in the museum area. And we have a lot of outdoor restaurants, a lot of places where you can bring even dogs and kids. It's a very, like, come one, come all kind of city.
Well, one of the places that I completely loved, and I can't wait to go back, was the San Antonio Art Museum. It's like up north, I think?
No, it's actually right in that area.
Yeah,
I mean, you can walk from, and on the museum reach, to the art museum, to the luxury, to a few restaurants. It's right there by the Pearl. Like, it's
well, the
beautiful.
thing is, I think San Antonio is more walkable than Houston is, because I
would agree with that.
You ain't going nowhere in Houston walking.
No, I worked in San Antonio for a few months, and I remember that I could walk pretty much everywhere, like in downtown, and there was a lot downtown.
So ask me why you lived there for a while, and when I ask you when we go there, like, how to get places, he's like, I have no idea.
I was only in downtown.
Has it changed that much?
Yes. And
okay.
The most
now I
exciting
understand.
thing that has just happened is that there's a grocery store. We have an H-E-B downtown.
Well, see, we need one of those.
Yeah, and that has been one of the most exciting things.
For a grocery store downtown?
Yeah,
is it
right
that
in the middle of downtown. There's an H-E-B. So not only is it more walkable now, it's you want to live downtown. You can go to a grocery store downtown. Before that was always
non-existent.
Yeah,
it was
food
like
desert.
Yeah,
yeah. Or you had the corner stores where you can eat chips. And if you wanted a meal, you can get bean dip. That's basically,
with hot cheese.
No, I think that's what you think.
One of the things that my family used to do fairly frequently, and we haven't been in a while, but we did it for about 4 years in a row, is we would go to San Antonio for the River Walk Thanksgiving boat parade, like the day after Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. So what we'd do is we'd stay at a hotel right there, the one right next to the mall, and we'd go do the parade, and we'd stay on Friday, and we'd stay on Saturday and come back on Sunday, or just stay the day. But that parade is one of my favorite memories that I have when the kids were smaller, sitting there and the boats are coming around with floating. They really are floats. And I've been there a couple of times for the fiestas that are in April, I think it is. Yeah. I'm the typical tourist. I like to do the market square and the river walk and walk through downtown and etc. But it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff to do there.
Yeah. Well, if you're ever looking for more, then just to hit us up on Twitter. And then
I know these ladies definitely know a lot.
Where do we go? What do we do?
Speaking of that, give us your handle so we know where to hit you up.
Oh, definitely.
Mine is Shell Rodriguez, so it's MCHELL Rodriguez.
Cool.
And mine is Modern Tejana. You can find me at Modern Tejana everywhere.
So, while I have you guys, I do want to keep the conversation going because I want to ask. Okay, so we have fellow Texans here, and we are Houstonians, and one of the things that we like to talk about is sort of kind of how Texas is just better than the rest of the 50 states, and it's United States Texas type of thing. I mean, they don't call us the Lone Star for nothing. But what would you say is sort of what Texas does that maybe other states don't have? Because I know you, Marissa, have lived in another state, in Florida, and I know you, Michelle, have visited. Like, we've traveled more, perhaps, is what I'm trying to say. And what do you think Texas has that maybe other of these 49 states don't?
For me, I lived in Miami for almost 10 years, and before that I lived in Missouri for a little while. And coming home, I felt a big change living from Miami to moving back to Texas. It was definitely a homecoming. But I had been gone from San Antonio for so long that it was coming home to a brand new place. But the people were the same. And for me, that was what was the most touching. Everyone is so friendly. Everyone is so nice. And they want to welcome you back to Texas. And I think that was the biggest... the most touching aspect of returning back to San Antonio after being gone for so long.
Nice. It was definitely a welcome home.
Yes, it was the people. I think, Texans know Texans.
So I would love to hear, guys, if you're listening to this, let us know. If you're from another state and your state does something different, or if you guys are so unique, or you think you differentiate from us Texans, let us know. Let us know what it is that you do. And,
Well, let me go out there and say that we love all of you, no matter where you're from. You're allowed to listen to the show, even if you're not from Texas.
Yes, definitely.
Let's go back to both of you are are wonderful bloggers. I'd like to know a little bit more about why you started, and what you've learned through blogging, what it is you do, how your blog is different, whatever. Go.
Okay. Now that is a spot.
So, I started blogging, I would say about 5 years ago. And it started just as a way, I'm an accountant. So I have a nice little number counting, boring job. But I do have a creative side. And it was kind of a way for me to talk about those things that we were doing as a family. It was kind of like an online scrapbook. And it was just something that I could share because I always felt like family and togetherness and connecting was always so important. And for a lot of Hispanic families, and kind of the socio-demographic of where I live, and I just felt like family unity was just so important. And there was so much that San Antonio offers for families to do, to kind of, connect each other and have fun and just grow together. And we're a young family, had children in our early 20s, and so it's just a way that I could share those experiences. And I started, and I did not tell anyone at all. I didn't even tell my husband about my blog. And then I, ran across just this wonderful community on Twitter was how I started connecting with everyone. And it was like, there's no blogs in San Antonio. Nobody's blogging in San Antonio. And then you find, little by little, all of these people. And then it's like in Texas, there's not really very many Hispanic bloggers. And then it's like, no, we're there. We're finding each other. And that was kind of why I started blogging, and I think I continue because it pushes me to be a better person, a better mother. I just kind of feel like that's what drives my personal being, so.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I came to it much later. I have only been blogging for a little over a year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And there's people out there that have been like, decade deep in the blogging world. But I actually started my career as a journalist, and specifically in magazines. So I was a magazine editor for about 12 years before I made the switch. I was editor of a magazine called Hispanic Magazine, and then another one called Vista Magazine. And when those chapters came to an end, I still had that desire to be a storyteller, because that had been such a fundamental part of my career and who I was and my skill set. So being in working at magazines that were aimed to Hispanics nationwide, I found myself telling a lot of coastal stories, telling a lot of stories about people from Miami and New York and LA and sometimes Chicago, sometimes Texas, but it was very, very coastal. And I had it in me to tell stories of my own background, to find those Tex-Mex stories, to find the stories of people who were like me, who grew up Tejano, who had maybe their grandparents came over in the 50s. Maybe they've been here for 7 generations, because that was very reflective of my experience. And working in the national media, you don't see that reflected as often as the immigrant experience or the entrepreneur experience. So that was my calling. If I was now at liberty to choose my next path, and so I chose blogging as my avenue to continue being a storyteller, to find those things that moved me. And so I think that that's what keeps me going forward. Who are these people? What are the things about being a Tex-Mex woman at Tejana that I love and appreciate and want to celebrate? So that's what I do.
Great motivation from both of you.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah,
stories.
I know. I know everybody has a great how they started the blogging stories, and thank you for sharing, because that's definitely inspirational.
Yeah, and it's good. It's a good example of saying that you can still get into blogging and be successful as long as you have something, you're willing to put the work in and you have the passion about the topic that you're writing about. I'm going to tell people out there, especially if you're going to launch a blog or a video blog or even a podcast and you're doing it just for the sponsors, God help you.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a lot of people like to think that it's saturated, and it's not. It's not. When the story comes from a place that if you just, one Sunday morning you woke up and you decided that's what you're going to do, that's just, we always have that backstory. We always have a reason why we do a lot of the things that we do. And like I said, thank you so much for sharing, because
you can always see it also, like how genuine people are. And I think that's a little thing about Texas is, you can tell.
You can tell.
Even beyond, I think it's like the fact that you guys are as everybody in this room who's doing a blog and who's kind of putting the word out there and kind of sharing their own experiences as a Latino. I think that we're at the same time kind of helping to elevate the concept of what it means to be Latino, because there's a lot of misconception. There's a lot of, as you were saying, our stories aren't out there, so it's important for us to be the ones putting them out there, and for us to kind of be putting
instead of allowing other people to tell us
out there.
I sometimes you get a lot of people trying to tell you your own story, and sometimes it's like, I think you're missing the mark, or there's not that real piece that only you can put in. And from wherever you are, wherever descent that you come from, our family has a backstory. We have ancestors, and we can definitely say it.
It's like that thing where when I was a print journalist, like I would always go to the I would cover the Hispanic stories, and so when I would walk into a room, went to somebody's house, and I could establish that rapport with them just because we spoke the same language, and oh, I'm from Mexico. Oh yeah, you're from Mexico too. We're part of Mexico, and then from there it was kind of they came down. It was like they were comfortable with me, and so they accepted me in their home. So the stories that I got, the interviews that I got, were always a little bit more. I could always get them to tell me more just because they felt comfortable with me.
I don't know if you mind, Sandra, but I'm going to go ahead and talk on another subject. I'm going to go because sometimes we
It's not like it's your show too or anything.
No. It's because as Juan was talking, it reminded me of a conversation that me and Juan had in the car many months ago, and I think we argued over it a little bit. But anyways,
I'm so shocked.
We get so passionate about subjects that it's hard for us to stop talking and understand each other. But so the subject matter was that he was, we were talking about how women do well in school, because my belief is that when we see other women as professionals, as teachers, we tend to want to work towards, it's that saying, it's the person that looks like you that you tend to connect to.
I can do that because I see someone who looks like me who
thank
did
you.
that.
Yeah. And we were having the conversation. I was telling him, a lot of the times, a lot of the teachers that were in science and math were males, and that went all the way up to college. I seen only males, and not that I wasn't trying to engage with it. It just didn't. I don't know. Maybe I would have taken more to it had it been females, and I think that's the same case when as minorities. When you see somebody else, you see the print journalist, or you see the engineer, or you see somebody, you see that as a possibility. You see that as a reach. You see that as they did it. How can I not? And you maybe take an interest, and maybe there's a switch that might happen within yourself. And that was, I hear, so when Juan was saying that, I thought that was, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that's kind of true, or do you think it's
there's a professional organization in Houston. It's called Hispanic Women in Leadership, who I was recruited to by Dr. Laura Murillo when I was still a student. She was the president back then. For those of you who don't know, Dr. Murillo is the president of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, which is the largest Hispanic chamber in the country. So she's kind of somebody. She invited me to a meeting, and I sat in my first meeting there, and the room filled up with Latinas. And they were lawyers and bankers and accountants and insurance brokers and small business owners and large business owners and executives in the energy corporation and recruiters. And by the end of that first meeting, I'm like, wow, I'm coming back.
Okay, yeah.
I'm coming back. And I was already in college. There was never going to be, in my family, there was never going to be another path for me, is I was going to go to college. But being in a room full of women who looked like me, who sounded like me, whose backgrounds were similar to mine, and seeing that they were all representing the thing that was just this vague concept in my brain was changed my perspective. It went from, I think I'm going to do that, to I'm doing that. That's who I'm going to be.
Yeah.
So role models are absolutely important.
Essential.
So we're in this room. We have an accountant. We've got,
an editor. And we have an editor. Yeah.
Well, a former editor, a former journalist.
Yeah.
Or still an editor because you edit your own stuff.
It's hard to let go of a title.
She's an editor.
We have an editor. We've got, a couple of PR pros, another former journalist as well. So, even in this room, we don't look like, sound like, or live the lives that most media show, typically for Latinos. And we're more normal and commonplace than most people would think.
Well, I don't know about everybody else in the room, but I mean, if I go back to myself when I was 17 and I was like graduating high school, like my goals for myself had nothing to do with what I'm doing today, because those possibilities I didn't see them. They weren't on my horizon. So it was really a matter of, I think fate probably had something to do with it, and then me just kind of being the kind of obsessive compulsive personality that I am, that just kind of always looking for something.
Yeah, like in college, definitely. When I started going to school and I became an admin, a part-time admin, I was like, you know what? I'm behind a desk. I'm like, this is good. Like, if I could become a full-time admin for but then, the dean of students had a last name like mine, and she sounded like me, and then I was like, wait, hold on. There's other possibilities out there. There's a lot more to this than just, not that that's bad, but because all the other admins were Hispanic and all of them had the same last name as me. And I was like, if I could get just here and have it full time, and I was in college, and that I thought was enough. Mm-hmm. And, so and then we met Juan, and then, so we both within each other, like, introduced ourselves to, like, other things. And then we met Sandra, and we met other professionals, and we met other professionals. We were like, what the hell? Where was everybody at?
But you're right about the Twitter thing, because that's where we really all connected. Like, that's where we met. Like, it was so funny because it was a social movement, and 5-6 years ago, that's when Twitter was really
it was more
in that phase.
Intimate conversation.
Yeah, and it was like really at that
you
point,
met
it was
real
very
people.
organic. And we all connected through Twitter, and then we all met here in Houston, and then we all met in Texas, and then we all met across the country. Yeah. And it was just very organic. And
But I think one thing that what you did is that something that I think a lot of professional Hispanic people should do is that you made yourself available.
Yeah.
You made yourself available to share your wisdom. Yeah. And so everybody benefited from that. And I think that if we're going to look up to people, like all those admins in your office, how wonderful it would be if they were so open and available to help little Anjelica become successful Anjelica,
Yeah, because
mentoring is so essential.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, and it doesn't have to be anything formal. But guess what? Helping other people is going to come back and help you. It's just not going to be direct. My dad was very traditional, very old-fashioned Mexican. He used to say, do a favor for someone and someone else will do a favor for you. And, it's very, put it out there and it'll come back kind of thing. He absolutely believed in helping people get a leg up. And sometimes that means giving them your time, and sometimes that means giving them a break, and sometimes that means giving them information that they need. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I absolutely adore about the blogging community, about social media at its core, is that a good 98% of people that I come into contact with are just very, very, they're so generous with their knowledge, they're generous with their time. We don't see each other as competition. We want everyone to succeed.
Yeah, definitely, because if you succeed, or if you they like across the spectrum, if so-and-so succeeds and they see how well they do, they're going to want to reach and they want to work with other people. And when other brands see that, the brands are going to want to do with that. And so if the world can fit us on, if it can all like hold our weight, it can hold all our ideas and it can hold everything that we do. And so to not want to prosper or to not want, for somebody, it feels like it sort of feels like, there's an irony in it because it somehow seems that maybe you don't want to succeed or something like that. And that's not what I want. I want everybody to succeed. I want everybody to do well because in return, we all do well. And that's definitely what I've learned from the blogging community and the friends that I've made from the blogging world and from the influencer world is that I see all those people think the same way. And I love that. I love the fact that we can reach out and, hey, we know some people, they reach out or we reach out or people reach out to us. Hey, how do you do a media kit? Hey, how do you do this? Or how did you do that? Or do you know designer? Do you know graphic designer? It's like, you don't try to hold those and put it in your back pocket and like, no, these are my secret weapons. It's like, no, it's like, this is available to everybody.
But the other thing is about the success. Like you mentioned kind of about how it's a community, but the other thing about success is like, part of it is showing up,
Yeah, definitely.
Showing up and showing up again and showing up again. And that's really part of, it's not only about us changing the narrative via our blogs. It's also about us showing up and being there and being present and saying, hey, we're here, we exist, and this is
definitely.
This is what we represent. And you create opportunities for yourself that way because you show up and you just continue to show up and you're representing your work, but you're also representing an industry when you're the only Latino in the room.
Yeah, and we've talked about those moments that we've had. We've been the only Latinos.
I always like to ask our blogger guests, what's the one single piece of advice that you would say has been the biggest, help for you in your career in terms of what you're doing now?
Okay. I think on my part, it's just do it. Just don't get into the panic mode of if it's perfect. If you're working on a blog post and you're in the 6th edit, it's kind of just time to post it or keep on going. I definitely get into those lapses of thinking too much, but sometimes it's just about quality of production.
Yeah.
Keep going, keep doing it. Some are not going to work. Some are going to be fabulous. So, but you don't know unless you post it, unless you put it out there. So
Nice.
That's great advice.
I think if you're writing from your heart, that you can never really go wrong. Because it's your blog. Write what you feel in your heart, what is genuine to you, what is your truth, and I think you can never go wrong when you do that because there's always someone who is reading that feels the same way, so.
And then you never know. Sometimes it's the post that you write that you rush through and you write it in 30 minutes, and
you just had to get it out there. Yeah.
And then people are going crazy about it, and you're like, "What? I didn't even edit this."
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
grammatical error. You're yeah. It's definitely some of those posts that do they resonate with a lot of people when you just have to get it out there and you don't know why. And Juan has a variety good posts that he's done out there. So to wrap up, guys, I think this is it. I want to again thank Marissa. What is wrong with me?
Rodriguez.
Yeah, I know. So again, I want to thank Marissa and Michelle for coming out and to thank you guys for coming in and doing this podcast with us.
Well, thank you for inviting.
Yeah, it was great.
All right.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of The Little Radio Show. We invite you to check out our iTunes channel and our Stitcher channel and to leave us a rating or a review. You can find both links at thelittleradioshow.com.